Together we're weirder together.
Welcome to the Weirder Together mini episode, listener question episode this week. And we have a question this week from Cecil or Cecil. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Cecil. I'm going to go with Cecil.
Yeah. Is that from A Room with a View? Cecil.
Yeah. Anyway, Cecil. This is your question. I've noticed you two have a very active social life. I admire the fact you're always out and about, checking out new bars, nurturing friendships. As a very tired and introverted beautiful baby, I have to ask, why? Are you both very social people? Why don't you start with that? Because we're a bit different in that way.
Yeah, I'm. My biography going back to when I was very little, I trusted few.
Well, I don't know if we need the whole biography.
I trusted a few people. My mother and my sweet grandmother, and everyone else was scary grown-ups. And then in elementary school, very social. I didn't do well in school, but I liked my friends. Then I followed my brother around doing his social life. And then I found when my brother was doing other things, we were in different cities. And when I got older, I'm very kind of like, I like a couple of friends, quiet. By the time we met, I had a little kid. I lived in the same house in Laurel Canyon for already like 10 years. And I knew like one neighbor, Sarah Essex. You move in 4 months, we know everybody on the street. All of a sudden, I have these young friends. So for me, when I had kids, I had like 18 years where I didn't like drink or do drugs or anything. I just was like parenting.
But I would still see you out. Like Donna would say, hey, we're at Hyde. And I'd come and you'd be sitting there totally sober, sitting in the club, just enjoying yourself. Like, so you still went out a little.
A little, but not a lot. And then once the kids got at a certain age, we just started having parties and partying. So, and you bring in just such a young, like we just had a party the other day we talked about it on our podcast, we always have multi-generational parties and that's thanks to you.
Well, I just see it as sort of, in some ways, when I think about like falling in love with reading on the road when I was 15 years old, in some ways, what I fell in love with more than the book was the sense of community, of like-minded creative people. You know, the famous line, the mad ones are for me. I want it's like that whole beat sort of fantasy.
Yeah, what was that Steppenwolf thing on the door?
Steppenwolf. Oh yeah, Mad Men Only, not for everyone. So I think for me, sense of community was essentially what I was looking for so much through my creative journey and even through all the cults. Like I think the cults, there was obviously this kind of like existential inquiry, but there was also just looking for community.
It was so interesting. I was looking at Instagrams. I was trying to clean up my storage and I was looking at all the videos and getting rid of like 1,000 audition tapes that I have that are taking up so much storage.
I know, like Goldie's watching Young Sheldon and I remember you auditioning. I watched the pilot and there's a scene of him and the mum in the car. And I was like, I remember reading that with you for your audition.
That happens so much where I'm watching a TV show or listening in a movie and I'm like, that sounds so familiar. I'm like, oh, I auditioned for that scene. I have so many. So I found this one thing of the Numa. We were at Gratitude and everyone's dancing. It was the day that people were, in India when there's a holiday where they have different colored powders.
Yeah.
And people get all covered in the powders. It's some holiday. And they were doing that and everyone was dancing, all the guys. And there was one guy in our group that did this sort of classic hippie, culty, not new wave. What's the word
new
for
age.
New age dance? And it's amazing. But it's so like new agey, like, Byron.
Shout out John Morrow.
Yeah. And so, but I was watching everyone dancing and it was like, from the cult days. And I was like, I don't want to show this to Ben because he's going to want to get back in a cult.
Sounds like you were secretly wanting to get back in a cult.
It was the nice part because you hear that with cults, the community. Yeah. People are looking for community. So Saul's cult leader, but yes to the group. But yeah, those times are fun when you're in this community.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the things I realized when I was put all that sort of spiritual seeking behind me was that I already have my community. It's musicians and artists and creative people. Like they came and found me when I was 14 years old and I was like, that is my community. And there is something about the way the arts, music, and nightlife connect. Like every great creative scene sort of has nightlife involved to some extent.
Yeah.
And there's something that happens. And I remember doing a course at the New School online, the early days of online courses in probably the late 90s.
You were always an early adapter.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think you had the first podcast ever.
It was very early. But I remember doing this book on the psychology of darkness and nighttime, and how people who, nighttime used to be very threatening. And then the invention of fire, suddenly it gave us this way of like feeling safe in the nighttime. But all that being said, the nighttime is this place where creativity, the unconscious, dream life, sexuality, more hidden things, they come out of the shadows in a way at night.
The freaks come out at
The
night.
freaks come out at night, as Houdini once said. So I think there is a very, like often when you tap into nightlife and there's a scene and there's creative people, there's a very magical atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the other night, Carla, our friend from Bar Frida's, said we were walking up the stairs in the night going from one dance floor to another. She turned to me, she said, I think partying is a way of life. And I was like, that was amazing. I like the religious conversion aspect. So
yeah, I go in and out. Like sometimes in winter, we'll have phases. We go to bed at 9, 9:30. Like we go to bed really early.
And you shame me because of how quickly I fall asleep.
I do. I love to shame you. I'm jealous. That's
Yeah.
jealous shaming. But I'm getting good at falling asleep quickly now. Thank God. But I think the nightlife can be good, and it's phases. Like I couldn't go out all the time, but those phases that I have, like when I lived in New York. And Moomba was like right around the corner, and it was like a clubhouse.
And I think
see your friends,
yes.
and those times fade. And
you see Leo and the Pussy Posse, David Blaine, Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, exactly. And you think it'll last forever, and then it kind of like moves on.
Yeah, and I think that now having the podcast where we have a platform to sort of not just participate in culture, but also more proactively share it, it also becomes this like reinforced sort of loop, this signal, where we get excited about things and then you get invited to more things and then you get, so it just becomes, I don't know, it's like really, it's a fun part of our lives.
Yeah.
Cecil, I hope that was a satisfying answer. If you have any questions for us or you want some bad advice, we're happy to give that too. Write to us weirdertogetherpod@gmail.com and we'll speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon.
Together we're weirder together.